Oggi appunto parleremo di un argomento molto interessante, parleremo dell'impianto Ocrimfbc, impianto che si occupa di macchine fine linea, in settori e in diversificati, quali sono principalmente quello monitorio, quello food, quello del pet food, finanche quello chimico, insomma, ma non sono io la persona adatta a parlarvi di questo. Vi parlerà infatti di tutto ciò il nostro relatore Roberto Cagna, direttore di Ocrimfbc, che ha lavorato già nell'impianto Paglierani dal 97 al 2017 come plant manager e che oggi appunto è direttore di Ocrimfbc. Vi lascio quindi al suo racconto, alla sua presentazione. Roberto, benvenuto, buon pomeriggio, la parola.
Benvenuto, welcome, Roberto. The floor is yours. Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank Anna for this very kind introduction. I also would like to thank you for being here today. So thank you so much. I know there were, high expectations. It's our first webinar 2022. It's a new subject. I also would like to thank you for liking us on our corporate social channels. Now, by way of introduction, unfortunately, we only have 30 minutes available today. And so this would be a general overview. So once again, a sort of a superficial, presentation of this, of my business unit. So what we do, how we work, and what we will be doing in the future. So I guess this is very important to say, because I don't want to, let's say, create too high expectations just because we have 30 minutes. It won't be possible to give you all the details of every single machine, their features, their specific functions, possible comparisons with competitors. Okay, so this is not, let's say, what we will be doing today. And hopefully in the future we will have another, let's say, in-depth webinar about this. Anyway, me and my staff, we are at your disposal in order to take into account every single, request or inquiry if you need further information. Okay, then, this being said, let me start with the title of this webinar. So, first line with end of the line. So it's a pun. So we are playing with words. And it sounds like a slogan. And by the way, I like it so much because in just a few words, it represents so many things. First of all, it sounds like an announcement or a title saying something like, Ocrim is here. We have the end-of-line machines, our own end of lines. So everything is done or made in-house. And this is something different versus all the other international players on the market. Of course, they have, similar products, but commercial agreements in those cases are not done on a long-term basis. And, sometimes the negotiations with them have been very long. Problems have arisen, and then there have been, again, problems on the customer side. So the fact of having the 100% in Ocrim or in-house production, this is an advantage, so a plus for our customer base. Now, first line, we've been there forever. I mean, we are an acknowledged international player to build the machine and plants for the milling industry. So once again, this is our core business. So making sure our customers can make flour. End of line means packaging of the line. So primary packaging. So we have bags, different types of bags. And sometimes we have, the filled bags. But I'm also talking about the so-called secondary packaging. I mean, putting all the packs in a very specific sequence on pallets so that, logistic platforms can easily transport or handle pallets, basically bagging machines. And we also have the heat shrink wrappers. So once again, this is basically in a nutshell all what we do today. So today's webinar is based on 3 key bullets. Now, I need to tell you who we are and, some, let's say, background, but also something about the future. This is something very important for me because, I'm one of the, let's say, witnesses of the evolution of, this department in Ocrim, and I will give you details about this. Second bullet, what we do. So I will show you our products and what you have to use them for. Last but not least, I will share with you just some of the plans made. You will see some pictures. I will also give you some figures or numbers, where these machines have been sold. So, topic number one, let me start from the very beginning of things. I'm talking about the birth of this business unit, which is relatively new, but at the same time, it is now turning 40. It was founded basically in 1974 in the small city of Medesano, close to Parma, in the so-called Italian Food Valley. 3 members, a couple of founders, and then just, some partners and colleagues. So a very small company. FBC, these are the 3 initials of the 3 founders. At the very beginning, they made metal works, so carpentry, then they became subcontractors, and then they shifted towards the manufacturing of automatic machines. Back in 81, well, this year is a milestone year because this is when we started making the first automatic machines, and we started selling machines in the entire country, around, let's say, 20 employees, so a national company. But once again, with dozens of installations, all the way to 1985, where we managed to meet another company, Pagliarani, and there's been further expansion thanks to this partnership with Pagliarani. So once again, the sales department worked a lot to increase the size of the company in terms of square meters indoor, but also in terms of employees. So much so that the company had to move. In 1997, we have doubled the number of square meters indoor. Once again, always in the same village, Medesano, close to Parma. So we have almost doubled the number of employees. Once again, there's been a great evolution, and then, well, we met, so to say, Ocrim. Ocrim decided to take over the manufacturing site and moving it to Cremona. So, well, this step was fundamental. That was 4 years ago, so 2017, and I have to say that the business unit merged into the Ocrim manufacturing site. So this is what we found. We found a different organization versus, FBC. Of course, Ocrim was much, much bigger than FBC. So that was a so-called fertile ground in order to develop new ideas. And I have to say that the context here is very well organized. It is highly professional, top-skilled employees, and a cutting-edge system. Once again, very high skills from operators. Once again, a very high level of managerial attitude, professionalism, and a complete supply chain. That was different, and especially that there was, much better quality than the one we had in Parma. This means that we went through sort of restyling of our machines. So we had to redesign our machines and fit them into the Ocrim production context. Now, of course, well, it has taken a while, so it has taken some time, but all of this was fruitful. We've been able to redesign machines. At the same time, our technicians, our designers have been able to express all of their skills. Now, apart from the so-called operating context, this is also what we found in Cremona, a very, very strong, let's say, identity of the people working here. There's a strong sense of belonging to the local community. These values are typical of Ocrim. So once again, Ocrim means Cremona. It's a sort of a dualism. It's a sort of a twin agreement. We have adopted, I mean, the same livery, so silver and green. These are the two Ocrim colors, especially for our machines. This is our standard colors. And we have borrowed, I mean, the colors typical of the flag of the city of Cremona. I may say that this means passion and rigor. So the two key elements, the two key drivers for Ocrim and for all what we do here in the company. Now, let me be a little bit more specific on what we do in terms of end of line. So we make machines which are able to handle totally automatically different types of packs. Now, when I say packs, I mean sacks. So, of course, if this is, milling or flour, something like, well, from 10 to 25 kilos. We also have bags. Now, bags are smaller than sacks, but this is what you can find, in large retailers, on the shelves for end customers. We also have the bundles. Now, bundles are basically heat shrink plastic packs. They contain small bags. You can also have boxes. You can have very simple so-called American cardboard boxes. In some cases, we have a cover or a lid. You can also have a stand or a display. So it depends on the marketing effort you want to have in your, commercial lines. So it depends on your marketing decisions. So in a nutshell, these are the four types of materials that we handle. These are our key industries. Of course, the milling industry is playing the lion's share. And of course, we have to, also create end-of-line machines in Ocrim. Anyway, the FBC story means that we've become an important player in other diversified sectors. I will show you some numbers. Of course, we have relationships with the food industry. We also have, the concrete or cement makers, different types of industry, and mining, sugar, and then salt, sugar. Once again, as I said before, extraction or mining industry, for example, gravel and stones, and so on and so forth. So I may say that basically everything can be contained, in the bag. So once again, we have so many diversified sectors we cooperate with. Let me also share with you how we've been able to penetrate those sectors. Milling, once again, it's absolutely number one, and then concrete makers. Of course, here you have lime, you have cement, you have concrete, you have chalk, you have pre-mixers in many different shapes and forms. What is important is that these powders can be contained into the bags or sacks. I'm talking about powder, but I'm also talking about pellets. And then moving to the left side of the pie, you have animal feed products. And this is a booming industry. Fertilizers, plastics, chemicals, different types of chemicals, and then, as I said before, sugar and seeds. Every sector has some special features. Of course, the bag is not, let's say, airproof. So, of course, you will see some powder, on the bags. You can personalize or customize the product so that it is compliant with the regulation and especially lasting long. This means that the plant can really work for a long time. Okay, then, so after talking about what we have done and what our, let's say, ordinary current state of things is, let's now talk about the mission. So what we are doing and what for. Now, of course, a high technology. Now, when I say high technology, I mean seamless, relentless search for new materials which can be useful for our plants. The plants have to work and operate at best. It has to be, let's say, it has to meet customer needs. We believe so much in research and development, where we have dozens of top skilled technicians and engineers. They offer you their experience in order to customize products. We usually have modular projects, then we standardize or industrialize the products. Of course, we can customize the product for every single customer, depending on the needs of end users. I have to say that when transferring the company, we've also transferred most employees. I mean, technicians, engineers, employees, mechanics, and after sales professionals. So once again, it's a legacy that we have, let's say, brought to Cremona, and they are now teaching to young talents. So let me continue the description of this BU business unit. We do not only make machines. It would be, well, maybe not enough. But we also sell services to customers. I think that services, of course, are important. And this means that we test the machine together with the customers. You know, sometimes the customer, of course, trusts us, so we can skip this phase. But yes, we do have some, testing or in-house testing in our company in Cremona. In some cases, we can also use the final product of the customer. For example, we test the packaging systems. We can also have, the product coming from secondary plants. The machine will be able to take care of that product. And then, of course, we also travel a lot. So we install the machines, on site. I think that this is fundamental. Installation and training, I guess these are fundamental elements or drivers if you really want to, let's say, strengthen the relationship with customers. Customers have to be, let's say, 100% independent, I mean, in terms of using the machine as quickly as possible. And I really mean it. Maybe some days or in some cases just a few weeks. Of course, it depends on the complexity of the machine. Let me remind you that we also recommend the customer. We tell the customer how to exploit the plant at best, making it as effective as possible, avoiding problems thanks to preventive maintenance. We need, to teach how to ask for spare parts. We are investing a lot on this, on spare parts. And I also have to say that as for spare parts, I have to say we are now offering spares for machines that have been there 25, sometimes 30 years. In some cases, we have requests of customers that have installed our machines 30 years ago. In some cases, we have to replace the PLC because, of course, it is no longer possible to find it on the market because it dates back to 20 years ago. Anyway, the customer is able to have very short downtime, and of course, it doesn't have to be too expensive. And we are available, so we can cooperate with the customer if they want to buy a new machine that can be as lasting as the previous one. So last but not least, thanks to the current technology, we have an excellent remote control on the machine. I think this is key. It's so important because sometimes the customer says, okay, can I have a periodical, regular checkup? This means that we can, let's say, so-called open communication with customers. In other cases, because of corporate policies, There is no open channel, so to say, and then everything is on demand. I mean, as soon as they need a correction, a new step in the program, or maybe a minor, maintenance, because maybe the sizes of the box are different. They need a new box, and if possible, we do this remotely. In some cases, we work on site. So once again, we save a lot of time and money when we do off-site or remote maintenance. So this is my second subject today. So as I said before, I will be talking about new products. Now I have to say that we have once again the wrapping machines and then the bagging machines. Now one of those products is not totally made inside Ocrim, but we have a sister company, Pagliarani, taking care of some of these machines. Once again, Pagliarani was incorporated 80 years ago, and they've been doing this. I mean, they make weighing machines and bagging machines for, once again, 80 years. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with Pagliarani. I'm sure you know the Pagliarani brand, just like Ocrim. You can see here a palletizer. Now, the conventional palletizer have low, medium production, but also middle and high production. The first one is a conventional palletizer, in this case, a low-level bag in feeds, 1 meter high. I have to say that in terms of spaces, this is quite small. We have the possibilities of having machines belonging to so-called the basic level, but this is modular, so you can really meet the needs of expanding the range or making the machine bigger, thanks to the application of accessories and additional devices. This means that you have superior performances without necessarily have to totally replace the machine. We also have high performance machines. So this is, once again, a conventional palletizer. By the way, when I say conventional, I mean there are some, special devices, electromechanic devices, or even adapters to handle the bags. So they handle the bags or the sacks, and then they put it onto wooden or plastics pallets. Now, this allows us to have a perfectly squared pallet. So in terms of aspect or look, but also in terms of stability, we can really reach a very high quality. We also have the robotic palletizers sector. Here we have two specific lines. The first one is an anthropomorphic robot. This is 100% made in Ocrim. So the frame, all of the assembly of the electrical part, and then of course, logics and software programs. I'm sure your question is, why do you make your own robots? Well, for a very simple reason. This is part of our DNA. We would like to have, as many machines as possible made in-house, because this means we know the product, that we can help the customer do maintenance and assistance. Many customers like this so much because they know that we are a reliable partner. Now, in this case, this type of machines meet, many different needs. We have just one single size. In some cases, you have more complex scenarios. Of course, the customer decides to have an industrial robot. Well, in that case, inside our line, we integrate anthropomorphous industrial robots, different types and different sizes, because they've been purchased by companies from around the world. This is all what they do. So they can, count on many different products, different sizes, different features, and different performances. So once again, we can choose from all of those alternatives. So we integrate it into our conveying line, so that the entire product is Ocrim made. Some years ago, well, around 10 years ago, we've been pioneers in doing this because, of course, we can combine, the typical conventional palletizers capabilities with robotized palletizers. This means we have a perfect mix in terms of flexibility and palletization result on a very high level, especially in those cases where there is a partial, overlapping of the bag. In those situations where you have, um, let's say, faulty filling levels, this is what you can see in the milling industry and also in the animal feed industry. Let me continue with other machines. We are going very close to the end of the line. So we are sort of following this logical thread. This is basically the pallet protection with the use of stretch film. We have different machines, different models. Basically, we have one wrapper that you can see here with a rotating table, mid-performance. So once again, I will skip the main features. There may be other meetings where to talk about this. With or without the use of the management unit with, for example, pre-stretching. We can also get the top cover or lid. This is another option. This is great even if you want to protect the load on the top. In this very case, the customer is able to store internally, but also externally, the product, waiting to send it, to customer, distribution platforms, or logistics. There's another wrapping machine with a rotating arm. In this case, performance is higher, better. It is more complex, it is larger, so it takes more space on the floor, but with specific features. So with or without pre-stretch, with or without the top lid. So we also have another machine I'd like to show you, which is the stretch hood, a cold stretch hood. Now, as you can see here, we have a tubular roll. And in this case, we can take advantage of the elasticity or stretchability of the plastic film. So there's a mechanical cold system. So you put the film or lid, as we say, on the pallet. In this case, you don't have to use the heat shrink of technology and, of course, plenty of energy. Also, in terms of safety, there may be issues. So the so-called cold process is, in my opinion, the best solution in order to spend less money and at the same time, the result is guaranteed in terms of pallet protection. These are the main machines available. They come with a high or large quantity of accessories that I cannot describe today. Let me mention just some of them. So these are, let's say, parts all around the main machine that can now be integrated. So we have the handling systems or conveying systems. You can have the conveyor belt, you can have the modular chain, which is the picture you can see on the left, every single type of sack, bag, and box. We also have control systems for the top quality of the product. So weight control. You also have automatic expulsion or rejection of the product. So no interruption whatsoever. We have the possibility to design our lines, so it depends on how much room the customer has. Big rooms, small rooms, pillars, columns, hurdles, obstacles. We have to be very flexible in giving the right conveying lines for, empty or full. pallets. So traditional roller transport systems, and then chain conveyors, and then we have roller conveyors, chain conveyors, and pallet rotation, once again with rollers or chains. We also have plenty of other products because you may be even more demanding. For example, you may want to protect the empty pallets. We can use plastic or wooden pallets. We can use a plastic film foil for protection purposes, or also cardboard inserts with or without stapling. So you avoid cross-contamination and humidity if pallets are stored outdoor. You may also have other optional accessories to further improve the stability of the pallet. If you have some special palletizing schemes. In this case, we have different layers of cardboard that can be used during palletization. This increases the stability of the pallet, and you can remove any doubt or problem in terms of logistics of the pallet. Third and last section now. This is a short, presentation of the system, of the plant, just to make sure you understand what we do. So here we have a project on the left and an actual picture on the right. So when we do things, we take inspiration from the ideas of our technicians and engineers. They use cutting-edge designing systems to do that, and they turn all of these ideas into concrete, tangible projects or finished products, which is what we install at the customer premises. So the two parts of this slide show you, what we thought and what we actually did. This is sort of a unique facility because in this case we have to handle 25 bags, 1 pound each, so 25 pounds. So this is a bundle, and then this is impalpable hot flour. It's difficult to handle it with the traditional grippers. So we can see the very special gripper. So it is 100% reliable in robotized palletization. And you can see the result here in the picture, because what we get is perfectly squared pallets. This is another slide similar to the previous one. You can see here the robot and the robotized system. This means that the rotation of the bag is done by the robot, the traditional machine that then squeezes, compacts, and presses layer after layer. Every layer you have on the pallet, so as to have a beautiful pallet, but also a compact one. So we also made another project that you can see here. These are, by the way, presentations we share with our customers to make sure they see or understand how the plant will be made. Here we have 3 top feed systems. The bag conveyor lines also contain control systems, so weight control, metal detector, and then the automatic, sack deselection or discard system. In this case, we can go up to 1,800 bags per hour each. This means a high level of production for the customer. You don't need many operators taking care of these machines. So there's almost no manual palletization, and once again, very short return on investment time.
Dopo aver visto quali sono e come
So after showing you how machines are made, I've prepared a couple of slides to make sure, once again, you understand, how many machines we have per type. So you can see that the highest column is represented by low-level palletizers. This is our main product, and we made hundreds of them, I guess more than 600 such type of low-level palletizers, followed by plenty of wrapping machines, which usually come together with the end-of-line solutions. And then you can see high-level palletizers, top performance. Then you have robots and pallet conveying or transport systems in general. Let me tell you where we sold them. Well, in general, all over the world, mainly in Europe, because, well, of course, it's easier for us, from the commercial point of view, but we also sell them, once again, in the rest of the world. So other continents have, a minor share, but we have around 1,700 plants worldwide. 1,700 lines, so it's much more than one machine. In the line, you have the palletizer and the wrapping machines, so potentially it's two machines. It's much more than 2,000 units we made, sold in Europe, but also in the rest of the world. I'll have to say that thanks to the current policy from Ocrim, we are able to further increase export flows by taking advantage of the presence of Ocrim all over the planet. So let me summarize briefly what I have presented. Just some highlights, basically. We make, plants for the milling industry, so flour production, but also many other sectors. As I said before, this means that for every single customer, we have to decide to create the best machine that best fits customers' needs. This means there's dedicated research and development, so not just something to improve the machine, but our research and development efforts are based on customizing machines for every single customer. Then we make it inside our company from A to Z, so to say, because, we have a long manufacturing chain. So basically we process metal, then we go to carpentry, frame, assembly, cables. We assemble also the electric cables. So this is what we do. Once again, there is basically no outsourcing. I guess this is important. Electric panels, cabinets, software programs, everything is done here. So we retain the ownership, and we also have the know-how of all of these systems or software programs. This means we are able to give you top-level assistance and service after sales. So we give you machines, services, and once again, turnkey systems, which is the best thing a customer can expect. Apart from this, we also offer after-sales services or in general assistance. So we take care of the customer, so we give them, let's say, the key of the machine, but then the relationship continues. If required, we are always there to give them the right tools and to, once again, help them year after year. So in a nutshell, we talked about services. I told you what we do, and you can see here a short list of the benefits for our customers. So of course, we customize machines and services. Once again, the products are bespoke and in compliance with customer needs. It's very easy to install. We save time in terms of installation because everything is pre-scheduled and pre-programmed. Everything is done so as to avoid, let's say, hiccups. This may happen sometimes. we don't want them. And we want to allow the customer to use the line as quickly as possible after installation. Automation means integrating our lines with the customer's supply chain or production chain. So our machines, so to say, have to talk to the machines. So the customers, in those cases where we find, machines from other companies, of course, we cannot interrupt the communication flow. So I'm talking about IoT or Industry 4.0. All of this is so important today because we know that this depends basically on the exchange of data points, data sets, and the communication flows between different types of machines. So we also have remote control, as I said before, so we can very quickly give assistance with very high savings for our customers. And again, this is another service which is in high demand. Now, by default, we offer the remote control system, if the customer wants us to do so. So what we recommend is the some machine supervision cameras. So those cameras will give us the opportunity to react with remote assistance so that we can have a virtual eye on the machines from our remote locations. This means low maintenance costs. The more they are efficient, the less they are expensive. All of this translates into a high yield and efficiency. Downtime is kept to a minimum. And I have to say that basically we have customer satisfaction and plenty of business for our customers. This is my last slide, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I feel, shivers down my spine when I see these pictures, because I see here the results of all of our efforts. This is so rewarding. Beautiful, squared, aligned pallets on different aisles, numbered aisles. This is, believe me, light for my eyes. Now, I hope you have the same feeling. And I'd like to specify that our commercial network, so our salespeople are at your disposal for any inquiry, demand, or needs. Okay, so it's a pleasure to serve you. Thank you so much for your attention. Let me now give the floor to Anna for a final bye-bye.